people, Deluded, I'm back again. Fridays, Q&A days. So without further ado, people, thank you very much for your questions. Let's crack on with it, man. It's appreciated. Making sure I've got everything because this was printed double-sided. Okay. Brian Ruff says, big up yourself, man, Brian, because you're in every comment saying good stuff, watching my stuff religiously. It means a lot, bro. I don't know if your display picture is you, but judging on your display picture, you look older than me. So someone that's older and wiser than me, it's nice to see you rock with the guy, man. But you've asked, DG, do you think, mate, we are getting like a long ball club? You're a smart man. You don't know why you asked me that, yeah, man. Because obviously with Lumber coming in, we've been moving it about a bit, but yeah. Because you look at when we have scored, we're taking advantage at a point, just poor set pieces. You look at Palace, I'm sure Wolves as well. I'm missing out a game, potentially even Southampton. It's not champagne football we was accustomed to in previous years, so you're right. Sean's asked, what's your thoughts on Joshua Da Silva? Was it a mistake letting him go? Well, I believe we tried to give him and Dragomir new deals, but potentially, in fact, we were laxed. And he kept it moving, and it might be a mistake. I'd say it was a mistake purely because he could have potentially reached first team, you don't know. Also, from a financial point of view, if you signed a new deal and you loaned him out and he's doing his thing to a degree at Brentford, he becomes a 10 million or so player. So if he's going to break in or not, there's a 10 or 15 there. And you look at Chelsea, the players that are in their first team squad this season after successful loans. But if they ever decide to sell them, Mount, James, Tammy, a bit older but Loftus-Cheek, Tomori, Callum, 6 players. Callum, who was wanted by Munich. If they ever decided that they wanted to sell these players and do a new project, God knows how much money that's bringing in. And there's also other players in and around the first team. Like you've got Dijon Sterling. I'm not sure on Tariq Lamptey's contract, but him, Conor Gallagher, Javi Simmons of Chelsea, Ajonian, I believe. He plays for England at youth level. He's quite big. Got a couple. Is it Matan? Couple Dutch players there as well. They're on a gold mine, and Arsenal potentially need to do that. For Josh, it's not, because there's no guarantee if he would have been playing in central midfield or been getting a look in. He probably would have had to been in the halfway house and that he's training and whatnot, but is he getting minutes? Who knows if he would have got minutes ahead of Joe. I think he's a lovely player, technically, good size. Obviously needs to probably learn to keep his standards up for 90 minutes and obviously just get more consistency. But for him, the move's backed up, because at the end of the day, minutes are currency. He's playing senior football. I wouldn't say he's necessarily first name on the team sheet, but he's making inroads, and it's better than if he would have stayed at Arsenal or other clubs that potentially gave him offers. Brentford's a good platform, and there's Premier League clubs allegedly looking at him, and he could join Isaac Hayden. Glenn Kamara's at Rangers playing under Gerrard, linked with moves. At Pom, whether you believe in him or not, he left, turned around. He had to go, but he's linked with West Ham. So going elsewhere to develop yourself can't be begrudged. Brian Ruff, again, you've also asked me, nice show, mate, thank you. What do you think about Bielsa? Great insight, mate. Who knows what managers are going to come in? Doesn't look like they're rushing. Thank you for the insight. Again, man, you're too kind, but obviously, you can't be a football fan and begrudge Bielsa. He's a top manager. I personally wouldn't take him at Arsenal because I know he's giving young players chances at Leeds, but he's beefing Eddie Nketiah. It sounds childish. And obviously, Spurs' Jack Clark hasn't really been getting a look in. He's got that youngish sort of centre-half in their lineup or in and about their team, and other people have got chances, but I don't think Bielsa will be a good fit for us personally. But he's a good man. He's a great manager, man. I mean, come on, man, it's Bielsa. Amin's asked, do you think it was harder for the Invincibles back in 2003 or is it harder for Liverpool currently? As always, big up, bro. Good question, and God would have to answer that one for you, my guy. I'm an Arsenal fan, propaganda. I'm going to say 03, but the league isn't now. The league then isn't what it is now. I mean, who would have said, no disrespect to Leicester, that Leicester would have going to win a Premier League title and would be potentially challenging Liverpool for the league title, ironically, this year again, people. And top 4, definitely, if they carry this on. Well, for me anyways, but I have to say that as a disclaimer. It is harder now. Everyone can smack up anyone then, but it's a mad dynamic now. So I'm an Arsenal fan. I got to be biased. I got to be the Deluded, mate. I got to go with Arsenal, but it's a tough one. If you mean to remain actually invincible, I'd say if you're talking about specifically being invincible and not the standard of the league, I'd say back then, because Wenger came out and made the comment, and nobody expected it. And as it went on, you know, it was mad, and we had to pull back a couple of times. The same logic applies to Liverpool now, but because Arsenal have done it and it's happened before, or as great as Liverpool is, I don't think people will look at it as the end of the world if Liverpool was to turn around and lose at the weekend. Hopefully they do now, because I'm an Arsenal fan and we're talking about Invincibles. So I'd probably say now, but yeah, not quite sure if I interpreted your question correctly. Apologies, dude, but yeah. Jack Spade has said, it'd be great if you could do a video about how all our loanees are doing. I'm so sure I did a not recent one, but I'm sure I've got one, people, like what, last month or the month before, man. January will go again. But pre that up, Jack, man. Thanks for the consistent support, man, and shout out to you. Always look for this guy's username. Diabolical has said, which players did you know would become superstars when they were younger before anyone else? Now, I'm not no magician or anything like that, so this is an uncomfortable question. I didn't know Kylian Mbappe would be Kylian, but I'd say Kylian because seeing him at the under-19s Euros. I watched a lot of Telemans. I thought Telemans. I actually thought Kevin would be decent. I liked watching Asensio, even though he's not a superstar, and Gab Jesus. Superstars, I wouldn't claim to say any, man, but Raheem Sterling, just because I'm very biased to Raheem Sterling, I'm Raheem Sterling FC then. Believed in Neymar, but I'd probably say the only feeling I got that the player could be incredible was Kylian Mbappe, but I didn't think this by any stretch. I just thought this guy reminds me a tiny bit of Henry, or the closest thing I've seen to Henry when he was at Monaco and whatnot, but via clips. But I'd say that. Jack Wilshere, if injuries didn't rob him, I'm going to stick my neck out and say Phil Foden, in my opinion. Gabriel Martinelli. Inshallah, there's no injuries and them things in their front. That's a good question. I enjoyed watching Messi's rise, but I'm not claiming that by any stretch. It's more for me watching the rise, man. Like, just to rise, man. Like, there's a couple players I've seen, like Martinez, Lautaro Martinez, for example, of Inter Milan or Highland, respectively. In the last couple of years, they've been playing at the Under-20 World Cup. Didn't Highland score like a triple hat-trick or something against Tahiti or something at this recent one? Martinez got sent off against England at Under-20 levels when we won it, I believe. Seeing that to what they're doing today in kind of quick succession, to Martinez had a great game linking up with Lukaku in their defeat to Barcelona, Chiguet, and what they're doing now. I'd say Jadon Sancho, if you can allow me to claim him as well. I'm going to stick my neck out and say he could be quality. I really love him as a baller. So yeah. So the word superstar, I'm not claiming anyone's superstar. I'm just people I thought could be good players, bro. Kelly just said, hello DG, how are you? I'm good, my guy. My question to you is more like a food for thought. Do you think Spanish people don't want to work with German football people? I'm saying this because look at Raul Sanllehi. He didn't even want to dip his hands into the German market when it comes to finding a new head coach. Also, he kind of snaked Mislintat out of this club. Your thoughts? I think that whole logic is a bit misguided because Mertesacker's there. Doesn't it? Mertesacker's there, bro. With all due respect, man. Shout out to you, but Mertesacker's there. I wouldn't say that. I mean, I can, in terms of the German scouting, one, we don't know if we're actually looking at the German market. Two, if we go on just who we've been linked, we've been linked with Mandela, we've been linked with a couple German-based players, and I'd like to think we're looking everywhere. So I don't think it's a case of their nationalities had anything to do with it. It's more a position of power. It's more a lot of chefs in the kitchen, and everyone wants to do the soup their way. I don't think their nationality has any relevance, my guy. But shout out to you for the question. Peter Moles asked an interesting question. When do you think you can get on the kickoff with True Geordie and that? People, if you at them, spam the kickoff, is actual Twitter. I wish I could speak on this, people, but it's that, man. I was just about to talk on it. One day we'll speak on it, but I'm kind of relying on you lot to make that one happen. If you can't make it happen, then we can't do it, my guy. But hope and pray, man. Every day I wake up, I pray. Word to CB. But Devon's asks, shout out to you, Peter, but Devon's asks, thanks for answering my music question last week. Back to football. I'd like to know who you think are favourites to win the Euros in 2020. Well, I'm going to say England because I'm supporting that. You have to go with France. I don't think Spain look Spain of old, but Spain look decent. Usual suspects, but it's always the usual suspects until it gets flipped on its head, people. If Ronaldo's there, you have to throw Portugal. Maybe not the favourites of favourites, but you have to, you know, discount the fact that Cristiano Ronaldo, even on his last legs, is still Cristiano Ronaldo. So shout out to you, man. I thank you for your consistent questions. Adrian has said, blessings, DG. What do you think the club need to readdress the decline in the players' performances? Big up yourself for the amount of time you spent answering your people's questions. Thank you, people. And I mean, I'm missing Champions League for you lot. It's 20 past. Right. If you're talking off the field, I trust you're intelligent to know what we need to do off the field. Specifically onto the field, I'd say psychologically we need to tap into these players, why they're making these mistakes, why they're going wrong, what do they feel has gone right and wrong in the recent games, and releasing that mental handbrake. Like, I don't believe in Socrates and Luis. I have no confidence in them. If I was their manager, they would not play unless I really have to. But if I had to call upon them, or just as humans, I want them to be on the field with my confidence as a manager, within reason, and not fearful of, oh crap, I keep making these same mistakes, because football is a very psychological game. In terms of coaching, we need to do doggy runs, suicide runs, 2 banks of 4, defending out numbers, following men that you're supposed to mark, improving zonal marking. Zonal and man marking, the combination of the two, are just re-evaluating our whole approach to defending, how we build out from the back, having a purpose to that. I've mentioned the defenders, but the first line of defence is our strikers. How do they press? For me, the jar of Arsenal is we don't press coordinated. Like, I've seen Guendouzi, Laka, Aubameyang, Joe, even Ozil. It's like you'll press, but no one's backing it, or 2 men are backing it, and people are there 6 of one, half a dozen of the other, sort of thing. The whole system doesn't work if you like press properly. Spinal wise, for me, minimum signings. Just if you can't improve if a centre half on top of Saliba, or 2 in addition, and a central midfielder, if not 2, don't arrive at this club. We could talk about wingers. Bellerin needs competition, potentially even a better right back than Bellerin. But the spine of this club is terrible at this moment. Until that gets addressed, don't matter what manager comes in. It's a myth. But shout out to you for your question, my dude, man. Yeah. The Real Gaza said, what's your thoughts on Simon Jordan's comments on AFTV and his debate with Robbie? Well, I haven't really got time for Simon Jordan, man. I've done a video on this at this point, so just check out that vid. Sorry to knock this question, my dude, but I don't want to waste time on Simon Jordan. Apologies. El has asked, does Saliba's injuries concern you? He's only started 4 games this season in the league. Well, obviously injuries are always going to concern, and coming to Arsenal, you know, but at this moment, no, because I'm on top of watching him when I could. I don't know too much, and I don't want to concern things that are not really a problem right now. If it persists or continues, then we can revisit that. But yeah, LT said, what happened to Maitland-Niles? Is it time to bring him into DM? He's quick and could do a job there defensively with Torreira. He could be more box to box and more just exuberance. I don't think he's disciplined just as a player yet to really be defensive mid. One thing that he's so calm on the ball, but he needs to improve defensively in terms of tactically. I believe in Maitland-Niles. I think Maitland-Niles can be a good squad player here, but if I'm him, he's at that point where it's a crossroads now. You might have to go on loan or leave the club permanently because you broke through. You said you don't want to do the right back thing, so beyond just being there if needs but must, you're not there. You're not going to play right wing for us. Central mid, you're not being played, so are you favoured there? I'd love to see you get a chance there, but it is what it is, so he needs to have a word with him. But I think Maitland-Niles could do no worse than some of the midfield performances and combinations we've seen. Hopefully he gets a chance, man, because he deserves that much to play in a comfortable position. Just get the right winger thing out your head, man. Maitland-Niles is my dude, though. Jay Diamond said, what do you reckon Decore DG? Good player. I would love to sign him if possible. That may be on my list. So yeah. Bill Bowles asks, what's your opinion on Reece? Do you think he's ready? He's ready to make it? Personally think not. Joe looks like another one out of his depth. Both need championship loans to kickstart their careers. Well, you could make a case for loans. Just in terms of playing. Like if I'm Nelson, I've been starved of football, I want to play, but they're young players, they're going to have to learn on the job. I personally would like to keep definitely Nelson at the club and let him get some minutes and whatnot. A loan isn't always the best, but there's not really a case to deny that. They're not going to be ready-made tomorrow and they're learning on the job, but can't fault you for that logic, dude. There's truth in what you're saying. My word, there's enough questions in it. But Carrying on. BM has said, do you watch UFC or any other sports? If it's not boxing, shout out to my guy AJ. It's a myth. D Solo has said, big up my people, them. Shout out to you. Carlo Ancelotti's been sacked. Would you take him? I've got some concerns, but we could do worse. Some of the names we've been linked, so why not? Antonio said, if Mislintat would give you a big opportunity to be a youth scout at VfB Stuttgart right now, would you go? Next question, come on. Pack my bags and go, man. How can I learn German in the quickest way possible? I ain't gonna lie, I'm gonna get homesick, but of course. Mate, if Spurs offered me a coaching job, don't get me wrong, I love Arsenal, but boy, like, it's a decision to make, and I'm not gonna think twice, but I'm on anything to make it, people. You get it? Is it? Moving on. And Nitra, I believe it said, what's Martinelli's best position, and could he possibly hurt Eddie's chances to be the main striker for Arsenal? Potentially, yes, but at the end of the day, Martinelli, you could say, is taking chances that Eddie hasn't. Now, I think Eddie didn't really get opportunities, neither has Martinelli, but when Martinelli's played, you've left with a flavour. Martinelli, I believe, offers more off the ball than Eddie. His general play is better, and obviously playing on the flanks that allows him to get more minutes. What hasn't helped Eddie is Leeds, and right now it hasn't worked out. He hasn't been able to prove that he scored great goals at youth level. Can he go and do it? Who knows, people? Also, we can't, and myself included, we can't assume that Eddie's going to develop to be a main striker. He could, not a Welbeck, but, you know, some decent squad players. We need some of them, people. For me, I'd say yes, because for me, I'm trying to hear Martinelli as our false nine long-term, Alexis Sanchez sort of thing when he was there. So you'd probably say yes, but that doesn't mean Eddie couldn't play with him, Eddie couldn't be a competent option off the bench, or Eddie couldn't do it in his own right. I think Eddie's hurt his own chances, and it's been through no fault of his own because he's not playing at Leeds. So it's not a thing where we're saying, Martinelli's moving mad, he's our striker. But you see what Eddie's doing at Leeds? Bring him through. It's not one of them. Right now, Martinelli is starting in... Obviously, he's a striker for me, but right, if we cut the crap, he's a winger right now. He starts in Eddie's natural position ahead of Eddie if they were to be in the first team right now. Now, Eddie probably gets recalled in Jan. Who knows? He might get game time. But for Eddie... Whether Aubameyang and Lacazette stays another thing, but you've got them two. You've got obviously Tyrese and Balogun, young Greenwood behind them. You've obviously got Martinelli now. We might be linked with more attackers. The pathway is blocked, and let's be realistic, not everyone's going to make it here, but especially Tyrese, Balogun and Eddie, they've got a decision to make. Do they go out on loan? Do they press to leave permanently? It's for them, innit? George has asked, how realistic should we be about our Champions League prospects? Well, I don't think we're getting Champions League. How's that for realistic, my guy? Aussie Gooners asked, how are you, DG? I'm good, thanks for asking. Even if we sign a big manager, do you think we'll ever be up top again? Well, it's not just down to the manager or the players. We need to... They're the ones that make the difference, but the intent, proper intent to want to become a winning club again and move like winners has to come from Kroenke and people just below him, the Raúls, etc., etc. Until that happens, forget about everything. Until we crave wanting to be the most innovative in these things again versus being the status quo, it's not going to happen. In all aspects, people, from youth development to boardroom nonsense to everything, people, every facet of the club. Mohammed said, I think we should sell Lacazette, Mustafi and invest that money on a centre-back. Well, I'd like to think regardless of Lacazette's future, we could do that. But if that's what you want to do, my dude. Reeks has said, why is it that last season we managed to get better results than this season, yet we got rid of a decent portion of deadwood in the squad? Because we've been found out for how stale we are, because it's been an open book, because we failed to build on the nonsense that happened, well, build a positive end on the nonsense that happened towards the end of the season, because of injuries. Ultimately, Emre's inability to coach this squad, a cocktail of things, my dude, man, but ultimately because we've just been woeful and we was flattering to deceive, and that's what I mean about form. I don't know specifically, but this time last year, 22 or so games unbeaten. When you're playing well, you get the rub of the green. When you're not, everything goes wrong. Entretz has said, do you think Reece Nelson's future in this team could be as a 10? I do think he could play the 10 role. Maybe not an out-and-out 10, but from game to game, why not? His future is on the flanks as well as there, in my opinion. Michael Smith has said, have you ever thought about using your AstroTurf desktop as a tactics board? Could you see it? Never thought of that, man. You might, you know, if you're making me drop them, my dude.
You know, if this bangs, might have to cut you a check if a check comes, dude. Can you lot tell me if you lot can see this? You got 442. Wait, I'm just moving it about at this moment, man. Alright, let's actually have. Alright, cool. Let's say 2 defenders have failed to track his run. He's made a run down there. So you've just come here and you failed to cut in, so there's a lot of space. And you're the keeper. You're just making up nonsense, people, but I'm going to watch this back and see if you lot can actually see this. That might be a shout. Still, shout out to you, man. Michael, you might get cut a check still if that thing bangs, you know. Shout out to the Deluded Nation. That's a good one there. Like, you even put in the hashtag DG Nation. Shout out to you, man. Pint on me if you don't drink. I'll get you, I'll get you a free juice or something. But I'll get you a something. Man. Shout out to you. Pablo Escobar says, do you think Leno takes so long playing out from the back because he doesn't trust our defenders? I think Leno takes long to play out from the back sometimes because of how they've been coached, because we've got no intent as a team. Like, you look at Edison, regardless of Edison's ability, they've been coached. We want to get this ball forward in as least touches or as quick as possible. Their intent from literally the goalie to the strikers to score goals, people. Ours isn't like that. I do think Leno's delayed at his own accord at times, but I think it's a more case of coaching. And also, you couldn't begrudge him if he didn't believe these teams, because as much as he has delayed, there's nothing in front of him. There's no movement. There's no real focal point, because that's not a bad man's strength. There's no real tough midfielders to win the first and second balls. Not really any. There's wide options, but because the way we're set up as a team, it don't really make sense pinging it into the channels. There's not really much for not just Leno, but anyone in possession of the ball when they get their heads up, people. You look at City again, we're a long way away from them, but there's literally always triangles around the field. There's always minimum 2, sometimes even 3 options for the man in possession, whoever it is. So, a mixture of things, my dude. Tayyip Hussein has said, DG, if Aubameyang and Lacazette are sold, who would you replace them with? I'll go all out for Highland, and personally, I'd probably look to go for a more winger. I don't know a winger off the top of my head, but maybe a goal-scoring winger. Go out and find our Sadio Mane or our Mohamed Salah, in that he can play as an inside forward, a striker, but not really a striker. It gives us sort of balance things to get at people, because if we can have a 1 number 9, and listen, if we can, ideal world, this don't make no sense, and I don't even think I have enough people, but I don't have enough, but we're just going to have to imagine. You've got top number 9, 2 top wingers, you've got your plan B striker, whether that's Martinelli's first or second, or the top striker of Martinelli. You've got a plan B striker if stuff's not going well, or someone that can chip in. Is not a 10 in this formation. That's an ideal world of attacking options for me, people. And then it comes to what midfield options do we have. Do you get it? Hopefully you lot saw that example right. Well, that was a lot of questions, and no one can question my commitment level. So if I've missed you out, forgive me, people. Like I said, I'm missing Champions League for you lot. Like, I'm going to have to stay up an extra half to watch that, because I don't like watching highlights necessarily and whatnot. But I can't not ask you. You lot ask questions on Twitter, so let's get at that. At Deluded Gooner 04Q and A. $12 questions, not too bad. Igals asked, looking at the last 4 windows, would you say Arsenal's recruitment has gotten better or worse over the last couple of years? Well, in hindsight, this summer might not have been the best, but in fact, Pepe, Martinelli, good transfers. Yeah, our recruitment has been terrible. Like, Saliba was good as well, but isolated from this window, our recruitment generally, as a whole, maybe not necessarily isolated players, but it's been terrible. You take shortcuts, like you see these holes in the team. So yeah. D-Double said, would you sell Lacazette or Aubameyang and replace them with Martinelli and a winger? I kind of answered this, but I would be open to... I wouldn't sign 2 strikers. I would go out, and if Aubameyang leaves, you need to go out and spend top bracket on a striker. Whether that striker is going to come or you're able is a different thing. But that's literally, when you cut the crap, 20 league goals gone. We'll have to probably get from a foreign league, so it'll be difficult. But you need to go and get someone that bloody guarantees 20 league goals, because from a management point of view, for that going out, the team is a massive thing.
Lacazette's got good strengths, a good player, but he doesn't get 20 league goals. If he got that, would we have Aubameyang? Or would it be him and Lacazette and some wingers? I don't know. But I would potentially go for a striker. I do believe we'd need another one, whether that's a top striker and Martinelli doing this thing, as I've said, or Eddie stepping up, or you go out and you sign a striker just for the squad. Someone, no disrespect to Origi, but Origi, obviously, if Liverpool were to start him 10, 20 games or expect him to lead the line over 38 games, it's a myth. But he steps up when required. He's got a great record, as you know, in decisive moments, but away from that, he's competent at his role. You need man like that. Do you get it? So, yeah. Marble Halser says, how would you grade KSI's tenure of Arsenal out of 10 from the time they bought the club? Lower than 0, man. We've been rubby, false promises, been dead, been stressed. Like I told you, lot. I'm 24. At this moment, I'm going to get a beard next time Arsenal want some smoke. And listen, I've been waiting for time for that. So, do you get it? I've been waiting longer for Arsenal to win the bloody Premier League again. So, 0, man. Obviously, if you want to throw me that bag, Arsenal and that, don't feel discouraged by that comment. But you said, who are your top 10 English strikers in PL history? If you're specifically, I believe you're specifically saying English. Kane's got to be there. Waz's got to be there. Vardy's got to be there in today's day and age. Alan Shearer's definitely there without a doubt. There was better strikers, but just from being man them, Jermaine Defoe. Andy. It's difficult, man. I used to watch Les Ferdinand clips on YouTube to improve as a striker, so I'll throw him in that. Not when anyone really... I wouldn't say it was top 10 or my top 10, but I was really fond of Kevin Phillips, just being a goal poacher. I was a right back, clearly not a good striker, but I wanted to be a striker, so I was really fond of how his ball was his foot was attracted to the ball people, and he's just able to score goals, like, just dead there, basically. Harron's asked, Ancelotti. I mean, if it gets done, I wouldn't begrudge him, but there are some concerns, my dude. AO has said, with RB Leipzig, RB Salzburg, Inter and Ajax dropping into the Europa League, do you believe we can still win it? I didn't believe we could win it anyways. I want to be proven wrong in a positive sense, people, but it's made our task harder. E has said, if you took over of Arsenal, what would your 4-year plan be? Well, first and foremost, to train these young players and improve them. But to do that, we need good experienced players. I believe these young players, they should be in and around the squad. If they earn the right to be regular first name on the team sheet, like Martinelli's doing now, Saka did that point early in the season, that's another debate, people. But I believe the spine of the club has to be addressed. Centre-half, central midfield, etc. You get some experienced players, some consistent players, and then you can lean on the Martinellis, the Joes, the Nelsons, etc. So I'd say that, first and foremost, developing and identifying areas. After that's all in place, qualifying for the Champions League, proving we can do it again. Just really identifying our objective, really. It's hard to have a 4-year plan when we don't even know what our club want to do, really. Brandon said, greatest footballer ever. Lionel Messi, easy one. He's the only player he's not better than is Ronaldinho. I know it doesn't make sense, but Ronaldinho's my granddad and the footballing granddad in that sense. Biggest Boss said, are you going to get that 91-93 Bruised Banana shirt on deck? How do you know I ain't got it already? One. Can't even bait that one. Faris has said, Upamecano or Canute? Well, I'm more of a Canute fan, as great as Upamecano is, so I'm going to say Canute, in my opinion. But either one of them's good. Man, that's a weird-ass question. I'm not even going to read that one. That one's a bit mad. Mamaboo's asked, Mamaboo, forgive me, I feel like the board wants a manager that's going to be a yes man. What's your thoughts on that? Well, like Emery, I think Emery was a yes man when it comes down to it. Yes, he was a good coach or whatnot, but you see Allegri, Enrique, who was linked with, for example, and obviously my man. You heard the other two were saying, yeah, we want to manage Arsenal and that, but what's the peace thing saying? Like, am I going to get substantial funds to do this? No, I'm not. Alright, see you lot later. Emery was like, well, I was at PSG. I don't really need money. Alright, cool, I'll work with that. Oh, you don't want to buy me right back? I use Maitland-Niles. Alright, okay, cool. Do you see what I'm saying? Oh, you couldn't get me Zaha, you got Pepe. Oh, okay. I'm not saying that's right or wrongly, but other managers might have wanted. I think Emre was relishing working in that system, especially from PSG. Because who goes from PSG to Arsenal? People, you go from everything being scrutinised to being able to hide behind the players up until the point it became obvious. I believe that's all the questions, and it's been an absolute